There's a study that began in 1938 at Harvard University, and it's still running today. For over 80 years, researchers have been following hundreds of people, tracking every detail of their lives, trying to answer one of humanity's most fundamental questions. What makes us truly happy? After decades of data, thousands of interviews, and countless hours of analysis, the answer turned out to be surprisingly simple. It wasn't money. It wasn't fame. It wasn't career success or physical health. The secret to a meaningful life came down to two things: the quality of our relationships and our ability to navigate our emotional landscape with wisdom and grace. Now, here's what's remarkable. 2,500 years before Harvard started this study, a man sat beneath a Bodhi tree in ancient India and arrived at the exact same conclusion. But he didn't stop there. He gave humanity a complete framework for developing these very capacities. He called them the Four Immeasurables. And today, we're going to explore why these ancient teachings might be the most sophisticated form of emotional intelligence ever conceived. Before we dive in, if you're interested in exploring how ancient Buddhist wisdom applies to modern life, go ahead and subscribe. We're building a community of people who believe that the deepest truths are often the oldest ones, just waiting to be rediscovered. And if this video resonates with you, leave a comment sharing which of these four qualities speaks to you most. I read every single one, and your insights often teach me as much as the ancient texts do. So, let's begin with a question. What is emotional intelligence, really? In the 1990s, psychologist Daniel Goleman popularized this term, describing it as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions while also being sensitive to the emotions of others. Companies started hiring for it. Schools began teaching it. It became the buzzword of personal development. And for good reason. Study after study showed that emotional intelligence predicted success in relationships, careers, and overall life satisfaction far better than IQ ever could. But here's the problem we face today. Despite all this awareness, despite all the books and courses and TED Talks about emotional intelligence, we're living through what many are calling an emotional crisis. Anxiety and depression rates have skyrocketed. Loneliness has reached epidemic levels. We're more connected than ever through technology, yet more isolated in our actual human relationships. Generation Z, despite having access to more information about mental health than any generation before them, shows the lowest levels of emotional well-being on record. Why? Because knowing about emotional intelligence and actually developing it are two entirely different things. It's like the difference between reading a book about swimming and actually getting in the water. You can understand the theory perfectly and still drown when the waves come. This is where the Buddha's teaching becomes so powerful. He didn't just describe emotional wisdom. He gave us a practice, a method, a path. The Four Immeasurables aren't concepts to understand intellectually. They're capacities to cultivate experientially, and they've been tested and refined over 25 centuries by millions of practitioners across countless cultures. The Buddha called them immeasurable for a specific reason. In Pali, the original language of many Buddhist texts, they're called Brahmavihara, the divine abodes. These are states of consciousness so vast, so boundless, that they have no limit. There's no ceiling to how much loving kindness you can develop, no maximum capacity for compassion, no end to the joy you can feel for others, no boundary to the equanimity you can cultivate. Let's explore the first of these immeasurable qualities, Metta, which translates as loving kindness or unconditional friendliness. In the Karuna Metta Sutta, one of the most beloved texts in all of Buddhism, the Buddha offers this teaching. Just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so, let one cultivate a boundless love towards all beings. Notice the instruction here. Not just feel love, but cultivate it. This is active, intentional work. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with emotional intelligence? Everything, actually. Modern researchers like Kristin Neff have spent years studying self-compassion, and what they've found is revolutionary. For decades, Western psychology focused on self-esteem, feeling good about yourself by being better than others or achieving external markers of success. But self-esteem is fragile. It rises and falls with circumstances. It depends on constant validation. Self-compassion is different. It's treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a close friend. And here's what the research shows. People with high self-compassion have better mental health, more stable emotions, healthier relationships, and greater resilience in the face of failure than people who rely on self-esteem alone. The Buddha understood this 25 centuries ago. Traditional metta practice begins with yourself. You start by directing loving kindness inward. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. This isn't selfishness. It's wisdom. You can't give what you don't have. A lamp that isn't lit cannot illuminate other lamps. There's a famous Zen story about a monk who came to his teacher feeling guilty about his own suffering. "Master," he said, "there's so much pain in the world. How can I focus on my own small problems when others are experiencing such great hardship?" The master smiled and picked up a cup. "Can this cup quench anyone's thirst while it remains empty?" The monk shook his head. "Then fill yourself first with compassion," the master said, "so you have something to offer others." But metta doesn't stop with yourself. Once you've established this quality of unconditional friendliness toward your own experience, you extend it outward in concentric circles, to loved ones, to neutral people, to difficult people, and eventually to all beings everywhere without exception. This practice literally changes your brain. Neuroscientists at the University of Wisconsin studied Tibetan monks who had practiced loving-kindness meditation for thousands of hours. They found that these practitioners showed dramatically increased activity in brain regions associated with empathy and emotional processing. But here's what's even more interesting. Studies on beginners showed measurable changes after just 7 weeks of practice. The capacity for loving kindness isn't something you're born with or without. It's a skill you can develop, like learning a language or training for a marathon. Now, let's move to the second immeasurable quality, Karuna, or compassion. You might think compassion and loving kindness are the same thing, but the Buddha made a crucial distinction. Loving kindness is the wish for others to be happy. Compassion is the wish for others to be free from suffering. One reaches toward joy, the other reaches toward pain. Both are necessary. Both are immeasurable. The Dalai Lama says something profound about this. Compassion is not religious business. It is human business. It is not luxury. It is essential for our own peace and mental stability. It is essential for human survival. Here's where Buddhism offers something that modern psychology is only now beginning to understand. There's a growing conversation about the dangers of empathy. Psychologist Paul Bloom wrote an entire book arguing that empathy, feeling what others feel, can lead to poor decision-making, bias toward those who are similar to us, and emotional burnout. He's not wrong. When you completely absorb someone else's suffering, you can become paralyzed by it. Healthcare workers know this phenomenon as compassion fatigue. You feel so much pain that your system shuts down just to protect itself. You become numb, detached, unable to help anyone, because you're drowning in empathy. But Buddhist compassion is different. It's what researchers now call cognitive empathy, or empathic concern. You understand someone's suffering clearly. You're moved by it, but you don't lose yourself in it. You maintain enough stability to actually be helpful. The Buddha described it beautifully. He said a physician doesn't heal anyone by becoming sick himself. The physician understands illness, but remains healthy enough to offer medicine. Similarly, compassion requires what Pema Chodron calls a tender heart and a thick skin. You feel deeply, but you're not destroyed by what you feel. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's a practice called Tonglen that perfectly captures this quality. You breathe in suffering, visualizing it as dark, heavy smoke, and you breathe out relief, visualizing it as bright, healing light. At first, this seems counterintuitive. Why would you deliberately take in pain? But the practice trains you to move towards suffering instead of away from it. It builds your capacity to stay present with difficulty, both in yourself and in others. There's a story about the great Zen master, Ryokan. He lived very simply, owning almost nothing. One night, a thief broke into his small hut. The thief looked around and found nothing worth stealing. Ryokan, who had been sitting in meditation, noticed the thief's disappointment. He took off his only robe and handed it to the thief. "You came all this way," Ryokan said. "Please don't leave empty-handed." The thief, confused, took the robe and fled. Ryokan sat there naked in the cold and looked at the moon through his window. "Poor fellow," he said softly. "I wish I could have given him this beautiful moon." That's compassion, not pity, not the feeling of being superior to someone who's suffering, but a profound recognition of shared humanity and the sincere wish for all beings to be free from pain. Modern psychology is catching up to this wisdom. Acceptance and commitment. Therapy. One of the most effective therapeutic approaches available today teaches psychological flexibility, the ability to be present with difficult emotions without being controlled by them. It teaches people to observe their suffering with compassion rather than judgment. Sound familiar? This is exactly what the Buddha taught 25 centuries ago. Now we come to the third immeasurable quality. And if I'm being honest, this is the hardest one for most people. It's called Mudita, sympathetic joy, or the ability to genuinely celebrate other people's happiness and success. Why is this so difficult? Because we live in a culture built on comparison and competition. We're constantly measuring ourselves against others. Social media has turned this into an art form. Everyone curating their highlight reel while we compare it to our behind-the-scenes footage. The result is an epidemic of envy disguised as inspiration. The Buddha understood this tendency deeply. In the Dhammapada, he teaches, Do not overlook negative actions merely because they are small. However small a spark may be, it can burn down a haystack as big as a mountain. He was talking about seeds of jealousy and resentment. They seem small at first, but they grow into forests of suffering. There's a powerful Zen story that illustrates this. Two monks were traveling together when they came to a river with a strong current. A beautiful young woman stood at the bank, unable to cross. The older monk immediately picked her up, carried her across, and set her down on the other side. Then the two monks continued their journey in silence. Hours later, the younger monk couldn't contain himself any longer. "Brother," he said, "we've taken vows not to touch women. How could you carry that woman across the river?" The older monk looked at him calmly and replied, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" That's what happens when we can't practice mudita. Someone else gets something good, and we carry that resentment for hours, days, sometimes years. It poisons our peace while doing absolutely nothing to them. The Buddha taught that mudita is the antidote to envy. When you genuinely rejoice in another person's good fortune, something remarkable happens. You realize that joy isn't a limited resource. Their happiness doesn't diminish yours. In fact, it expands the possibility of happiness in the world. Modern neuroscience backs this up in a fascinating way. When you feel genuine joy for someone else's success, it activates the same reward centers in your brain as if you'd experienced that success yourself. You get a hit of dopamine, a feeling of pleasure, simply from witnessing someone else's good fortune. You can literally multiply your opportunities for happiness by being happy for others. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset connects beautifully here. She found that people with a fixed mindset see ability as static. You either have it or you don't. When someone else succeeds, it threatens them because it suggests they don't have what it takes. But people with a growth mindset see ability as something you can develop. When someone else succeeds, they see it as proof that success is possible. They learn from others rather than envying them. Mudita is growth mindset for emotions. Your colleague's promotion doesn't diminish your value. Your friend's happy relationship doesn't mean you're unlovable. Your sibling's success doesn't make you a failure. Their joy is evidence that joy is possible, and that should inspire you, not diminish you. The practice is simple, but not easy. When you notice envy or jealousy arising, and you will notice it, because we all experience these emotions, don't judge yourself for feeling them. Get curious instead. What is this feeling teaching you about your own desires and fears? Then make a conscious choice to celebrate the other person. Say it out loud. I'm genuinely happy for you, and mean it. Thich Nhat Hanh offers beautiful guidance on this. Mudita is not only a smile, it's also understanding and sympathetic joy. A smile that is without understanding and sympathetic joy is not a true smile. It's just a diplomatic smile. The practice isn't about faking positivity. It's about cultivating genuine joy that transforms your relationship with others and with yourself. Now we arrive at the fourth immeasurable quality, and in many ways, this is the foundation that holds all the others together. It's called Upekkha, equanimity, or wise balance. Equanimity is perhaps the most misunderstood of the four immeasurables. People sometimes think it means not caring, being emotionally flat or indifferent. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Buddha was very clear about this distinction. Equanimity isn't apathy. It's not coldness or detachment. It's the ability to remain mentally and emotionally balanced in the face of life's constant changes. In the Salatha Sutta, the Buddha uses a powerful metaphor. He says that when an untrained person experiences pain, they experience two arrows. The first arrow is the actual painful event, the thing that happens in life. The second arrow is their reaction to it, the story they tell themselves, the spiral of anxiety and despair, the why me, and this is terrible, and I can't handle this. A person who has cultivated equanimity still experiences the first arrow. Life still brings pain, but they don't shoot themselves with the second arrow. They respond to difficulty with clarity rather than reactivity. The great Thai forest master Ajahn Chah taught this through a simple but profound teaching. He would hold up his favorite glass and say, "You see this glass? I love this glass. It holds water perfectly. It catches the light beautifully. But for me, this glass is already broken. When I put it down, when the wind knocks it over, when my elbow brushes it off the table and it falls to the ground and shatters, I think, of course. But when I understand that this glass is already broken, every moment with it is precious. That's equanimity. Not pretending things won't change or end. Not hardening your heart against loss, but accepting the fundamental nature of reality, that everything that arises will pass away, and finding peace within that truth rather than in spite of it. Modern psychology calls this emotional regulation, and it's considered one of the most crucial life skills you can develop. The ability to experience emotions without being controlled by them, to respond rather than react, to choose your actions based on wisdom rather than impulse. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, wrote something that echoes this Buddhist teaching. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But Buddhist equanimity goes even deeper than Stoic detachment. The Stoics often taught emotional control, managing or suppressing reactions. Buddhism teaches emotional wisdom, experiencing feelings fully, but not letting them dictate your actions. Here's the crucial insight. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain is what happens when you stub your toe or receive bad news or lose something precious. That's the first arrow, and it's part of being human. Suffering is what your mind does with that pain. The catastrophizing, the rumination, the "this shouldn't be happening," the "I can't handle this." That's the second arrow, and with practice, you can learn to put it down. Equanimity is the space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your freedom. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, discovered this truth in the most horrific circumstances imaginable. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The practice of equanimity trains you to find that space, to inhabit it, to make choices from that place of clarity rather than being swept away by the immediate intensity of emotion. But here's what's crucial to understand. The four immeasurables aren't meant to be practiced separately. They're designed to balance and support each other, like four legs of a table. Remove one, and the whole structure becomes unstable. Loving kindness without equanimity becomes clinging and codependency. You care so much that you become controlling, needing others to be happy so you can feel okay. That's not love. That's attachment masquerading as love. Compassion without equanimity leads straight to burnout. You take on everyone's suffering until you collapse under the weight of it. You can't help anyone because you're drowning in empathy. Sympathetic joy without compassion becomes toxic positivity. You celebrate people's wins, but can't be present with their struggles. It's the good vibes only mentality that refuses to acknowledge the full reality of human experience. And equanimity, without the other three, becomes cold indifference. You're so balanced that nothing moves you. You've protected yourself so well that you've closed yourself off from genuine connection. That's not wisdom. That's fear dressed up as spiritual advancement. But when you cultivate all four together, something extraordinary emerges. You love deeply without clinging. You feel compassion without drowning. You celebrate others without comparison, and you remain steady through all of it. The Dalai Lama describes this integration beautifully. The purpose of our lives is to be happy. But we must understand that genuine happiness comes from within. It cannot be found in external pleasures, no matter how intense or frequent. We must train our minds and hearts to find this inner happiness, and that training is what we call emotional intelligence in modern terms. But the Buddha taught us this path long ago. Let me give you a practical example of how these four qualities work together in real life. Imagine you're at work and your colleague receives the promotion you'd been hoping for. This is a perfect opportunity to practice. Without the four immeasurables, you might spiral into jealousy, resentment, self-doubt. You might avoid your colleague, complain to others, question your own worth. This poisons your workplace relationships and robs you of peace. But with the four immeasurables, your response is different. First, you practice metta toward yourself. You acknowledge the disappointment without judgment. I really wanted this promotion. It's okay to feel sad about it. You treat yourself with kindness instead of harsh criticism. Then you practice Karuna. You remember that everyone struggles with disappointment. Your colleague probably worked very hard. Your boss had difficult decisions to make. Recognizing this shared human experience softens your heart. Next, you practice mudita. And this is the hard part. You consciously choose to be genuinely happy for your colleague. You congratulate them sincerely. You recognize that their success doesn't diminish your worth or close all doors for you. Finally, you practice Upekkha. You accept what you cannot change. This particular opportunity didn't work out, but others will come. You respond with wisdom, perhaps asking for feedback, perhaps looking for other opportunities, rather than with reactivity. The result? You maintain your integrity, your relationships, and your peace of mind. You transform a potential source of suffering into an opportunity for growth. Or consider another modern challenge, scrolling through social media and seeing everyone seemingly living perfect lives. Metta reminds you to be kind to yourself. Your worth isn't determined by likes or curated images. Karuna helps you remember that everyone struggles, even if they don't post about it. Mudita allows you to genuinely appreciate others' happy moments. And Upekkha gives you the wisdom to put the phone down and engage with your actual life. The Buddha didn't have to deal with Instagram, But the human heart he understood so deeply hasn't changed. The same emotional patterns that created suffering 2,500 years ago create suffering today. And the same practices that brought freedom then bring freedom now. There's a beautiful teaching from the Buddha in the Majjhima Nikaya. Whatever a monk keeps pursuing with his thinking and pondering, that becomes the inclination of his awareness. In modern neuroscience, we call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated patterns of thought and behavior. What you practice, you become. Practice criticism, you become critical. Practice worry, you become anxious. But practice loving kindness, and you become kind. Practice compassion, and you become compassionate. Practice sympathetic joy, and you become genuinely happy for others. Practice equanimity, and you become unshakable. This isn't wishful thinking or spiritual bypassing. This is how your brain actually works. Every time you practice one of the Four Immeasurables, you're strengthening neural pathways associated with that quality. You're literally sculpting your consciousness, creating the kind of mind you want to live with. The ancient texts are filled with instructions for this practice. The Buddha taught that just as rain seeps into a poorly roofed house, so passion seeps into an untrained mind. But just as rain does not seep into a well-roofed house, so passion does not seep into a well-trained mind. The Four Immeasurables are how you train your mind, how you build that solid roof that protects your inner peace. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds beautiful, but isn't it unrealistic? Can you really feel loving kindness toward everyone? Can you really be compassionate without burning out? Can you really celebrate others' success when you're struggling yourself? Can you really maintain equanimity when life falls apart? The honest answer is, not perfectly, not all the time, not right away. But that's not the point. The point isn't perfection. The point is direction. The point is that every single moment you have a choice about how to relate to your experience. Ajahn Sumedho, a Western monk in the Thai forest tradition, says something important about this. The practice is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming honest. It's about seeing clearly how much we suffer when we're identified with our reactions, and how much peace is available when we're not. This is why they're called immeasurable. There's no finish line where you've developed enough loving kindness, enough compassion, enough joy, enough equanimity. There's always more capacity to develop, always deeper levels to explore, always new challenges that call forth these qualities in you. And here's something the Buddha taught that modern self-help often misses. You don't develop these qualities for yourself alone. The Metta Sutta says, "Let none deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings." When you cultivate the Four Immeasurables, you're not just improving your own emotional life, you're changing the emotional atmosphere of every room you walk into, every conversation you have, every relationship you touch. Your inner peace radiates outward. Your compassion creates safety for others. Your joy becomes contagious. Your equanimity offers stability in a chaotic world. This is what the Buddha meant by being a lamp unto yourself. Not a lamp that shines only for you, but a lamp that illuminates the path for everyone around you. So, where do you begin? Start simple. Choose one of the 4 immeasurables to focus on this week. Maybe you begin with Metta, spending 5 minutes each morning silently wishing yourself and others well. Maybe you practice Karuna by really listening when someone shares their struggles instead of immediately trying to fix them. Maybe you work with Mudita by genuinely celebrating one person's success each day. Maybe you develop Upekkha by pausing before reacting when something doesn't go your way. The specific practice matters less than the consistency. 5 minutes every day will transform your life more than an hour once a month. This is training, like training for a marathon. You build capacity gradually, patiently, trusting the process, and be gentle with yourself. You'll forget. You'll react instead of responding. You'll feel jealous or resentful or overwhelmed. That's not failure. That's being human. The practice is noticing when you've wandered off and gently coming back, again and again and again. That's why they call it practice. The Buddha's last words, according to tradition, were, "All conditioned things are subject to decay. Strive on with diligence." Everything changes. Everything passes. But in the midst of that constant change, you can develop qualities of heart and mind that provide unshakable refuge. The 4 immeasurables aren't just ancient wisdom preserved in dusty texts. They're living practices that remain as relevant and powerful today as they were 2,500 years ago. Because human nature hasn't changed. We still struggle with the same fundamental challenges: how to love without clinging, how to care without burning out, how to celebrate others without diminishing ourselves, how to remain steady when everything feels uncertain. And we still have access to the same fundamental solution: training our hearts and minds to embody these boundless qualities. This is emotional intelligence at its deepest level. Not just managing emotions, but transforming your entire relationship with emotional life. Not just coping with difficult feelings, but developing capacities so vast that nothing can overwhelm them. This is what's possible for you. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, not when you're more spiritually advanced. Right now, in this life, with this mind, with this heart. The Buddha proved it. Countless practitioners across 25 centuries have proven it. Modern science is confirming it, and you can prove it for yourself through practice. So I want to leave you with this question: what kind of person do you want to become? What qualities do you want to embody? What kind of presence do you want to bring to this world? The 4 immeasurables offer a path toward becoming that person, a path tested by time, validated by science, and available to anyone willing to walk it. If this exploration has resonated with you, I'd love to hear which of the 4 immeasurables you're drawn to practice first. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Sometimes the simple act of naming our intention makes it more real, more concrete, more likely to actually happen. And if you found value in this video, consider subscribing to this channel. We're creating a community of people who believe that ancient wisdom has something vital to teach us about living well in the modern world. People who are willing to do the inner work, to practice consistently, to transform themselves from the inside out. Until next time, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy.